Hello, this is Mad Cat, and I'm doing a special video for Chester Bennington. So I'm going to be singing the New Divide. I'm not going to have the music, unfortunately, because, well, then YouTube will take the video down. So I'm just going to sing it. I actually sing it better if I'm listening to the music, though, so I'm going to hear it, but you'll just hear my singing. So, and then please stay after the songs, and I'll talk about this a little bit. Gotta wait for it to get to the words. I remember black skies and lightning all around me. I remember each flash as time began to blur. Like the startling sign that fate had finally found me. And your voice was all I heard, that I get what I deserve. So give me reason to prove me wrong, to wash this memory clean. Let the floods cross the distance in your eyes. Reason to fill this hole, connect the space between. Let it fill up to reach the truth that lies across this new divide. Ooh. Nothing inside, the memories left abandoned. Nowhere too high, the ashes fell like snow. Ground caved in between where we were standing, and your voice was all I heard, that I get what I deserve. So give me reason to prove me wrong, to wash this memory clean. Let the floods cross the distance in your eyes, cross this new divide. Excuse me. Sorry for that. Musical part. Every loss and every lie, and every truth that you deny, and each regret and each goodbye was a mistake too great to hide. And your voice was all I heard, that I get what I deserve. So give me reason to prove me wrong, to wash this memory clean. Let the floods cross the distance in your eyes. Give me reason, crack the hole, connect the space between. Let it fill up to reach the truth and lies across this new divide. Across this new divide. Across this new divide. So, go ahead and stop that there. It might seem weird singing this song for a tribute. I've seen a lot of people's interpretation of this song. They think it's a song about going through a breakup. And I've always kind of interpreted it as not necessarily lovers, maybe friends, what have you. But it could be lovers. One is mad at the other one, saying, you know, you get what you deserve. And the person singing the song is saying, like, you know, just close this divide between us. You know, let's get back to the happiness. You know, let's not fight anymore. And it's basically him pleading, let's just get back to where we once were. That's kind of always what the song meant for me. But in this instance, when I sing it, I kind of think about depression. And I think about in this way that it's not two people, it's really a person singing at the abstract of happiness. The new divide, or the divide between them, is depression itself, a big hole. And he wants to fill it. And you might say that this is a stretch, and maybe it is. I don't know. But it's the first song I thought of. It's the one song that I know really well. I mean, I love Linkin Park. I have a lot of their songs on my iPod. I've always enjoyed listening to them. I learned this song so I could sing it in karaoke, because I don't know that many songs, actually. I love a lot of songs, but I just don't know them. And I actually sat down and taught myself this song, and, well, it's thick. I didn't do it that well, and I'm not that great of a singer, but some pains in my chest right now. So the one thing that depression was, because I've been through depression most of my life, and you can't really know depression unless you're going through depression. And the one thing when I was depressed was I wanted to be right about my depression. I was going to be depressed. And in many ways, I wanted to be proven wrong. I wanted to be someone to reach in and say, no, Chris, you know, you don't have to feel like this. You don't have to go through this alone. Because I never really reached out to anyone. And when I did, no one ever really cared. And, you know, I don't know the specifics of what caused Chester to do what he did. And, you know, I'm saddened that he felt suicide was the only answer. And I hear that it might have been because of a friend of his from Soundgarden who committed suicide, and I think I have their name. Let me get it, because Chris Cornell, who committed suicide by hanging in May, and I'm looking at Milo Yiannopoulos' site for this. They state that Chester had been struggling with mental illness throughout his life. And as someone who has struggled with mental illness throughout my life, and having been close many times to suicide myself, I feel like I can better understand this. You know, the only difference between me and Chester is that he had the means. I didn't. I always felt like if I was going to go out of this world, it would be in one of two ways. Walking off into the great unknown and just disappearing, or shooting myself. And I never had access to a gun. I mean, if I did, I would have done it a long time ago, and I'm not joking about that. I'm being absolutely serious. I would have done it if I had access to a gun. I never did, so it never happened. So that's why I care so much about male suicide. There's a comment on there on Milo's site, like, if you're thinking about suicide, don't do it because it'll affect the people around you. It'll cause people in your life who cared about you to want to commit suicide. And that is the worst thing to tell someone who wants to commit suicide. Don't do it because other people are more important than you. That's basically what you're saying. And I've had people say that to me before, like I shouldn't commit suicide because they'll feel bad. And it's like, oh, great, I'll just stay alive and continue feeling as I do with no one giving me any help whatsoever. And I've tried to go out there and get help, and usually what I hear is, oh, I don't know what to tell you. Or they start talking about themselves, or they never treated the issue seriously. And I don't blame people. I mean, what do you do when someone is ready to jump off a building, ready to put a gun in their mouth and pull the trigger? What do you say to that person? And training for that the average person can do. I mean, people in like the police service, psychology service, yeah, they're trained for that, how to talk someone down. But the average person is not. So when a person like me comes to the average person, they don't know what to say. And that's why we need to raise awareness about this, so that when someone comes to our doorstep, with the gun in hand, pills in hand, whatever thing they're going to do it, we need to be able to talk to them, talk them down, and help them on a path of recovery. And telling people that other people are going to be affected by their issue doesn't actually help. It makes things worse. When people said that to me, I know they're trying to say people care about you. But it felt like at the time it was saying other people's lives are more important than your own. And it's an illogical thing to think, but that's what happens when you're depressed, is you don't think logically at all. And it is a challenge. It is a challenge, and every person's going to be different. Maybe some people would respond to that, but I don't think, and I know I never did. It always made me feel worse. If someone in your life is depressed, check in on them once in a while. Say hello to them. Ask them if they're all right. Believe me, that actually helps a lot, knowing that people care. And not just care because you ask them to care, but they care on their own. I'm sure people would say nice things about me if I say, hey, I need someone to say something nice about me. I'm only doing it because I asked you to. This is why I say, we should have days where we compliment men. Because men need it. We don't get compliments unless someone wants something from us. The only time I hear that I'm an attractive male is when I'm in a relationship with a girl and I immediately distrust her in saying it because she didn't say it before and she's not going to say it afterwards, but only when I'm in the relationship. And I feel it's like when your parents say, oh, well, you're a handsome man. It's like, you have to say that. You're my mom. And it's like with a girlfriend, it's like, you have to say that. You're dating me. you know. And I'll understand women. You don't want to give compliments to men because if you do, if you compliment your male friend, say you're very handsome, he's going to think you're coming on to him. And that's actually part of the problem right there. Because men only hear it in relationships. That we need to change that men can hear it outside romantic intent. But because they only hear it with romantic intent, they think that anyone who says it is coming on to them. And I think it's women who have to take the plunge and make the effort and say, hey, I think you're a good guy. Hey, nice shoes. Hey, I like the work that you did on that. Hey, this, that, it's compliments. Because men need it. And, you know, but the other thing is that if someone comes to you and says, I need help, try to help them. And don't say things like, I don't know what to do for you. Feel worse. Someone says to me, wow, I don't know what to tell you. It means that my problem, no one can do anything for me. What's the point of trying if there's no solution? Don't say that. Don't ever say that. The best thing you can say to someone is to remind them what good they have done in your life or anyone else's life. You know, and don't ask them what you should say, because then all you're doing is parroting what they're saying and they will feel that it's disingenuous. Find actual things to compliment them on. And don't give them because if they say they're lonely, don't say, oh, well, there's someone out there for you, because they've heard that a million times. That doesn't help. You know, if they feel bad because, you know, their wife divorced them and took the children, they have to pay alimony. It's like, oh, it'll all work out for you. He knows that. You know, I mean, you may not be able to offer actual advice, but compliment. Say something of why that person matters in your life. I mean, they came to you for a reason, because they want you to be able to talk them off the ledge. So, I mean, it's like, you know, if they gave you something for your birthday that you really cherish, say, you know, in this life because you gave me something that no one else ever thought of, and it made me feel really special. And that had you not been in my life, I never would have gotten that. Or maybe, you know, you were stranded on the road and they called several people and that person was the only one who picked you up, and how much of a lifesaver they were. Because the one thing that every person in this world wants is to know that they've made a difference in someone's life. And when a person is ready to commit suicide, they're convinced that they haven't made any impact whatsoever, or that any impact they have made is now over and they're not going to make any more impact. Butter them up a little bit, but don't make it sound cheesy. I don't know why Chester committed suicide. Maybe it was because of his friend doing it, which is a very strong possibility. Maybe there were some other problems. He was getting help and the help wasn't helping him. Therapy today seems so focused on telling men that it's all your fault. Especially if you're a man. We need to raise awareness about this. You know, Robin Williams committed suicide by hanging. I think it was hanging. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. He committed suicide by hanging, and everyone shed tears for it. And changed. He commits suicide, everyone cries. Next day, business as usual. No one gave a shit. I won't say no one gave a shit, but the world as a whole didn't give a shit. I mean, if Robin Williams, a great actor, a great man, his problems were so severe that he felt suicide was his only option, that has to say something. That has to say that it can affect any one of us at any time. And now Chester, and I don't know much about Chester's life. I was only a passive fan of Linkin Park, but I love their music. That much about Chester himself, but I mean, he was in a band that lasted for a very long time. I mean, he was around when getting out of high school, maybe before that. And like nearly 20 years later, the Linkin Park is still around. How many bands do you know from the 90s or late 2000s that are still around now? Not many. I mean, that kind of success, and it makes me wonder how bad were things in his life that he felt this was the only option. So my tribute to Chester, and having felt his divide from having happiness in his life was so deep that he felt that all he could do was dive into it and never come back out again. And that's what I felt when I sang that, is that that's what he did. He wanted help. And I know that's not why the song was sung, but that's why I sung it. That the divide was so deep and so wide that he couldn't get what he wanted, and he just gave up. And it's a very, very sad thing. Anyways, Wicked Soul, Ohio Dan, great seeing you. I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. Leave a comment down below. Talk about any of experiences you've had with men committing suicide, whether you've had someone in your life do it, or if you've almost done it, or if you have ever talked someone down from it. Like they came to you and said, I feel like committing suicide, and you talked to them about it. You know, we need to raise awareness about this, and the only way we can raise awareness about it is to talk about it. So I encourage everyone down in the description bar below, just go ahead and talk about it. Anything you want to talk about, but none of this, oh, well, he was a coward and blah, blah, blah. You know, anyone who commits suicide is selfish. No. Don't say that. Because that is stupid, horrible, and wrong. Anyways, this is Mad Cat signing off.